I continue to study the issues, familiarize myself with things to the same degree that I try to with medicine. You have to know a lot of stuff. There's no question about that. But I'm rapidly acquiring that knowledge, listening to people, and really finding a tremendous amount of frustration with the status quo, politics as usual, be it Republican or Democrat. And, you know, our system was actually designed for the people. It wasn't designed for professional politicians. And so I'm thinking very seriously, listening to people, and we'll make a decision in a few months.
All right. That's, of course, the great Dr. Ben Carson. Joining us now is Leah Rigueur, and she's assistant professor of public policy at the Harvard Kennedy School. And her new book, The Loneliness of the Black Republican, Pragmatic Politics and the Pursuit of Power. Hello, Doctor. Appreciate you coming on.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Should I say professor? Okay. So, you know, when it comes to Ben Carson, when it comes to Clarence Thomas, when it comes to black Republicans, black conservatives, the left, the media treat them as if they're, and in this case especially, many other blacks treat them as if they're not to be taken seriously. They're sellouts, they're Uncle Toms, they're step and fetch it. I mean, we saw cartoons about Condoleezza Rice which were outrageous as Aunt Jemima when she was going through her confirmation hearings for Secretary of State. So how do you explain that?
Well, first, thanks for having me on. I'm really excited to be here. And what I should say, one of the things that I discuss in my book is how there's a long history of really either ignoring or neglecting or ridiculing African Americans who joined the Republican Party. And it comes from all sectors. So you're right, it comes from the media, it comes from their own communities, and it comes from both political parties. So both the Republican Party and the Democratic Party really don't have a space for these individuals.
Well, where do you say the Republican Party doesn't have a space for these individuals?
Well, so this is one of the things that my book talks about, how oftentimes Republicans within their own party are really grappling with how do we treat these people, where do we put them, how do we engage with them, do we like their ideas, do we not like their ideas? And it comes apart in really interesting ways.
Well, you mean in today's Republican Party? For instance, give me an example. I mean, look at the people who, you know, look at Colin Powell. Although he's not conservative enough for me, and I don't know that he's a Republican anymore. Look at Condoleezza Rice. Look at Clarence Thomas. Look at Ben Carson. Look at so many African Americans that I can name that are candidates that won in November, minorities. I mean, so I'm not sure what you're saying. So you're saying when these people come on the scene, when they win elections, or when they are out there, Republicans power structure gets nervous? Is that what you're saying?
In part. So one of the things, the title of my book is actually taken from a Clarence Thomas speech from 1987, where he says exactly this. He says that the Republican Party needs to do more to roll out the red carpet, to welcome minority voters into the carpet, so that into the party, so that they can really see what conservative ideas have in common with African American issues. And he argues that he doesn't see enough of this. And so we do really see this as a recurring statement, both in the past and in the present, right? And so I know you said that Colin Powell isn't conservative enough for you, but this is one of the things, one of the drums that he's beaten. Michael Steele has also said this recently.
Well, Michael Steele has turned the other way, in my view, ever since he got hired at MSNBC. I mean, to me, that's an open and shut case. And you know, and Clarence Thomas was back in '87. So taking Michael Steele, who has gone way to the left, from the time he was chairman of the RNC, and I offered to show him around minority communities in New York, and he never took me up on that. So I don't put much stock in that claim. I just think that Republicans are very welcoming to minorities today. I don't know if you could say that in '87, but I'm looking at almost 30 years later, and I just think that the problem is with the media, who's out there attacking a Joni Ernst for you know, mocking her while she tells her story, mocking a Rubio because he grabbed a bottle of water, mocking a Sarah Palin, calling all kinds of names to any black Republican. I think that's your problem, not an unwelcoming Republican Party.
Well, I think there's definitely a disconnect. And one thing I do want to point out is that about 30% of the African American community, and statistics back this up, self-identify as conservative. but that number isn't translating into votes for the
Right.
Republican Party. So we have to ask, why is that happening?
All right, Leah Wright,
Yeah.
Rigueur, the book, The Loneliness of the Black Republican. Thank you for joining us. I hope you'll come back. Folks, we're coming back with more. Don't go away.